All right, guys. Welcome to the Simple Man Podcast. Damien,
Ethan Crelinsten,
JayRod,
and our special guest,
Jordan. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Yeah, dude,
Thanks for
man.
coming
Yeah,
on.
so very last minute podcast. I got a text. Was it today? I think this morning.
I think it was either late last night or early this morning.
Yeah, super spontaneous that Jordan, our old buddy, was in Austin, and
So you're in Austin for Tim Kennedy's podcast.
Yeah, just
And,
did Tim's and came right over.
straight
'Cause you,
here. Wow.
You texted
Yeah.
me a couple days ago. You're like, hey, if you're ever in Austin, we'd love to have you on. And I was like, awesome. I'm actually going to be on Tim's podcast
What
in a
timing?
couple days. Yeah, it was
That
perfect.
happened over the course of like 4 days.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very fortuitous.
Perfect, man. Perfect.
we actually met Jordan back training at Henzo's. That was like what,
Yes.
maybe like 4 or 5 years ago now.
Almost 4 years ago.
Yeah,
now.
4 or 5 years ago. Came into Henzo's. You were doing gi. You still do gi though.
I still do gi.
Still do gi.
I love
gi
the
guy.
gi.
Yeah, and
You'll let
you,
that go
you
eventually.
gave
It's
me,
all good.
you gave me the best advice that I got. It was either, I forget if it's my first day or my first week. It was one of those. We're in the locker room at Henzo's, and I asked you. I was like, "Do you have any advice?" Because I felt super overwhelmed. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And you just said,
quit.
"Don't quit. You
Quit.
said-
Give up right now.
You said as long
Yeah.
as you don't quit for the first 2 years, then I'll be addicted." And that was like the most
That's fair.
true statement I've heard throughout my entire time doing jiu-jitsu now. It's like once I got past the 2-year mark, I was like, oh, I think I'm just starting to get it. And I knew enough to where like I could really put it on people who like didn't know anything, but I'm still getting fucking smashed by people who are like unbelievably good or even not even, they're just good. And, but not quitting was the best advice for 2 years because it set my expectations to know like, all right, for 2 years, I'm going to suck. And then by the time 2 years comes, I realize I still suck, but I know enough to where it's like, all right, like I love this. So
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because I
That's
think
fair.
we were talking. I think I want to say a month ago, maybe a month ago or 2 months ago. I reach out to Jordan every now and then just because he really knows his stuff with social media. So anytime like I need some help or bounce ideas, I'll try to reach out to Jordan. And you actually had told me that I said that.
yeah.
And I was like, I did? No, of course I did. Of course I did.
Yes.
That's great
I was
advice.
saying
I
if you
gave
remembered. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's
a
something I
test.
barely remember, but it's so funny that it's so true, right? It's so true.
I feel like once you start getting enough, like a ratio of rounds where you get to beat the guy up versus other rounds where you're getting beaten up, it starts to shift in the favor of like you're good enough where you can kind of get enough rounds where you're handling and controlling the pace that it starts to become more enjoyable than like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to the gym and get my ass kicked again, and you're less lost and you could compete and you hold your own. So I think, yeah, if you stick it out, I'd say 2 years is a good benchmark. And
There was
yeah,
there
there you
were
are.
a couple, like there were a bunch of really difficult aspects. The first difficult aspect is just getting your ass beat. Like it's
Yeah.
a huge mental hurdle and emotional hurdle. to get through.
Unavoidable.
Unavoidable.
Yep.
The other one is, so when you're not getting your ass beat, but you're going with someone closer to your level, like no stripe white belt, just starting out. I think one of the most frustrating parts was you learn what to do and you find yourself in a position and you know they just fucking taught you what to do. And you're in that, like, whatever, top side control. And all of a sudden you're just like, I have no idea what to do from here. It's so fucking, it's like,
Buggy.
it's like when you're trying to learn a language and you go to that country and they taught you what to say, but you're like, I know I want to say, can I go to the bathroom? But I don't know how to fucking say it. Same thing, like your top side control. Like, I don't know. I know they showed me how to get a Kimura. I know they showed me how to get an Americana, and they showed me how to do this. But can't
Once you
remember.
put
It's
it in like a
so-
live setting, it probably changes it in your brain for no reason. It's just like the mentality of, oh, now you have to perform under pressure or under a time constraint. You're
Yes.
like, oh shit, what do I do? So it like goes out the window. But
Yeah. So once you start like making those, and by you I mean me. Once I started making those little connections, I was like, all right,
all
this
of
shit
us.
is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And then you're hooked. And then you throw your life away and end up here.
Yeah, on a podcast, Simple Man.
Yeah,
with
Simple
three
Man.
simple men.
How did you guys come up with the name for Simple Man? Sorry if you've discussed this before.
No, we never discussed
We never spoke about this.
That was
there was a few. There was like a bit of a brainstorm, right?
Yeah, it was originally the Damien Anderson podcast and Friends. That got voted down.
Yeah, it got voted down.
And I think it was actually Nicky Rod that
Oh yeah, he said like, how about Simple Man? And we were just like, oh, that's kind of smooth, simple.
Yeah, I think
Rolls off the
so.
tongue.
So
Right?
I think the Joe Rogan experience was a spin-off like Jimi Hendrix experience, right? That's how it came in. He was like,
I
so
saw that.
Leonard Skinner, Simple Man.
Simple Man, yeah, and then he was trying to do like
Leonard
two
Skinner.
simple men, one smart man. He was trying to.
And we're like,
We're
no,
like, no,
we're all dumb. We're all of equal
And
dumbness.
if anyone's the most dumb, it's going to be you, Nicky Rod.
He's like,
okay.
he's like, all right,
Yeah, fair enough.
He's gonna watch us and be like, we're changing the fucking.
We're not posting this episode. How dare you?
So yeah, we moved. We created Simple Men. Started off the studio at first at B Team, then my apartment, and finally here.
I remember seeing like
Yeah.
clips of you guys at B-Team. I was like, you guys need to get a fucking studio.
Yeah.
But the studio is great. You've done a really good
Oh, yeah.
job. And
Thanks.
for everyone watching, like to be here, like this is not a cheap studio. You have a real operation going on. You're putting
It's
a
a
lot of
whole
effort
house.
behind it. Like this
Thank you.
is very impressive and really
Appreciate
cool
it.
to see.
Honestly,
Thank you.
kudos to Nicky Rod. He
pulled it together.
Yeah.
He really.
He's
Yeah.
heading this
Spearheading.
operation. Yeah. He's definitely the main driving force right now. Then we definitely we all jumble ideas, but he really wants this thing to work. So we're all
Yeah.
working hard to get together and putting a lot of hours into it.
It's working. It's
And
working.
money. I mean, this setup is people don't understand how much content, how expensive it is, especially for a
Yeah.
high quality podcast. Lighting, cameras, microphones, that like it's a lot. Like, and I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. You guys, this is very impressive. I didn't expect this.
It's definitely a lot.
If you guys want to
want
sponsor us, feel free to reach out. Buy our mugs. All right?
Buy a lot of mugs.
Buy all of them. Okay,
Please.
all right.
Fucking expensive.
Give you a deal.
3 plums
Like
for
our
one.
esteemed guest said, this shit ain't cheap.
So
You're welcome. All right. Yeah.
Jordan Syatt.
Yes.
How did you become Syatt Fitness? Like, how did that start? Give us the rundown.
Yeah. So I'll just talk, and if you want to interrupt at any point, please tell me.
Man, you're
Go
the
for
guest.
Yep.
So
Okay,
I
stop.
started.
No,
I'm a short Jewish guy, come from a very short Jewish family.
Jiu-jitsu.
it all started when I was born.
It all started 50 years ago.
And my mom was really worried that my brother and I were going to get picked on in school. So he's almost 3. He's 3 years older than me, 2 years 10 months. So she walks in the living room one day. I'm 8. My brother must have been 10 or 11, and she was like, "I'm going to put you 2 into wrestling." And the only wrestling that I knew was WWE style wrestling. So I was like, "You want me to hit someone with a chair?" And she
Because
was
I'll
like,
fucking do it.
she's like, "No, you schmuck." Like Olympic style wrestling. I was like, "I don't know what that is," but she put me into it, and I fell in love with it. Like I absolutely loved it.
Someone told me don't quit in 2 years. Sorry. And that was it. I was like, yeah, go on.
And I was terrible in school. I was in special education. I was not good in school. I was the
Wait,
only-
what?
Yeah, I was the
You
only-
were in special
I
education?
was in sped. I was in sped, man.
Talk slowly. Talk slowly.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
All right.
And I was in sped. I hated school. I was terrible at it, but athletics I was always like pretty good
Cool.
at. And so started wrestling. I made varsity as a freshman in high school, and I was 14, so I was going up against mainly 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and the strength differential between a 14-year-old and a 17, 18-year-old is huge. So I was good from a technique and endurance perspective, but my strength was nowhere near where it needed to be, and I was living just outside Boston. So I wrote an email to a gym outside Boston. I was like, "Listen, I'll take the trash out. I'll clean the floors. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I just want to learn how to get stronger." And fortunately, they took me in, and they were also very science-based. So at 14 years old, I started learning the science of strength and conditioning, learning from very high-level people. And that's what I've been doing ever since. I knew at 14 I wanted to be a strength coach and help with nutrition, all that, and I've never had another job.
Wow, that's awesome that
Cool.
you're actually able to find like your passion, your calling at such a young age.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
I'm jealous. I wish I found jiu-jitsu young like that. That's cool. You've had so much time to like master your craft.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I do think about that sometimes because I didn't find jiu-jitsu until it was just before my 19th birthday, which isn't that, maybe you started around the same time. It wasn't that late, but it's like when you see guys
It's
like
a little
Nicky-
late, relative to like kids starting at 8 years old,
Correct.
8
years
yeah.
old.
It
or
makes a
13
big
years
difference.
Huge, yeah.
Makes even
Plus,
from
like-
14 to 18, like
Yeah,
that's a lot of
and
years.
they
in
do
time.
other like their coaches or whatever have like they put them in gymnastics, like intense gymnastics.
Yes.
So they're whatever sport they go into, they're like
amazing, no
Yeah.
matter what.
so.
That's like the I have a 7-month-old daughter. the first sport she's gonna do is gymnastics.
There you go. Yeah.
2 years old, boom, gymnastics. It's like if you have that base, you're good at anything.
I would
growing
say
up.
gym. Yeah, like my kids, gymnastics.
Just
and then
moving
they-
your body.
Yeah.
How'd you do in wrestling?
I wasn't great.
Yeah.
I made states. I never placed at states.
Yeah.
I made it. I was like top 5 my 1 year, but I was an okay high school wrestler. I was not amazing at all.
What state is that?
Massachusetts.
Oh wow. I have
Is
no
that
idea how good.
tough,
I have
like,
no idea
wrestling?
actually.
I don't know.
It's not like Iowa or anything like that, but like it's decent
Still-
wrestling.
I mean, winning states or going to states in any state is still
Yeah.
an achievement
There's
in
a
of
big
itself.
difference.
There is a big difference, but still. Oh, well,
Jay's like,
Jay's like, shut the fuck up.
there's
shut the
a
fuck
big
up.
difference.
Well, because you never went to states.
The fuck? I went 3 times.
You no, you
you
went
win?
went 3
No,
times.
I went 3 times.
Oh, okay.
What happened?
But I can beat. I can beat
but I can beat you.
well, New Jersey
used to-
is very good at wrestling.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I would like lose in states, and then a few months later, go to like tournaments, like off-season tournaments, and beat like Virginia state champs.
Holy shit.
So it's like, who am I?
That's a difference. Yeah.
Come on.
I think. Well, first, yeah, New Jersey is just a dense state, also, but it's like, why are certain states so strong? Do you think it's the coaching? Do you think it's the population density? Because like Massachusetts has a lot of people now.
I feel like it's just part of the culture. Like some states have that culture where it's just like they value it. They valued it for years,
Yeah.
And that's just part of what they do. And I think
It's
generationally,
like some states basketball, some states
Exactly.
swimming. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's whatever their
Texas
is football.
Yeah.
Texas football. Yeah,
Texas
Their-
football's
yeah, their
insane.
wrestling is not that big, right?
exactly.
It's
Yeah, a lot
football.
of schools don't
Yeah.
even have it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty like it's yeah, it's really very state by state.
Wow. So
yeah,
you started your fitness journey in high school. Did you go to college?
So I did. I hated it. So between high school and college, I took a year off. I moved to Israel for a year. I was just like, I do not want to be going to school. I hated school.
where in Israel?
So for that year, I lived in Tel Aviv for 3 months, and then
Sick.
I lived in this very small town. And like when people think of Israel in their head, if they've never been, they think this is what they're gonna think of. It's like desert, camels, that
Hell
stuff.
yeah, it's
So
a
this is a town called Arad. It's in the south of Israel. I lived there for several months, and then I lived in Jerusalem for the remainder of the year.
Fuck, that's sick.
And then after college, I moved back to Israel for several years. But I was there for a year. I wanted to stay and join the IDF, but my mom said she would fucking kill me.
What a badass.
So-
What field in the IDF? Just
So
like,
I actually wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach for the IDF.
that would be sick.
I wanted to train like the elite units in order to get them strong enough and all of that. But my mom was like, "I'll fucking kill you." So came back. Went to
You
University
should
of-
say like you can't. I'm stronger than you, Mom. Don't you know what I'm doing? Like, I can beat you up. Sorry, go on.
Idiot.
Stupid.
So then went back. I went to the University of Delaware, and I hated it. It was awful. I initially started with exercise science because I was told that's what you're supposed to do. And I very quickly realized that people teaching exercise science had no clue what the fuck they were talking about.
Really? How so? How so?
So my family hates my because my family is a lot of teachers, doctors, lawyers, and
academics.
all that.
So you're like
academics.
they're all retarded.
I was like, you're idiots.
Yeah,
and a
right.
lot of these teachers went straight from learning exercise science to teaching
teaching.
it. They never coached anybody. I had just spent from 14 to 19 coaching people every single day, and these tenured professors never kept up with the research, never actually coached anybody in person. And they're
It
teaching.
changes so fast. Like a
Yes.
lot of podcasts I'm watching, for example, just like Andy Galpin and like these guys,
Yeah.
they're like, what we thought was right a year ago is now completely out the
Yes.
window. So like if they don't constantly, I don't know,
Stay up to date on
stay
the
up to date,
research,
yeah,
yeah.
they're
And-
gonna fall out of date.
And so I was doing that, and then after about 2.5 months, I realized this is a waste of time and money. And one of the issues with the professors who've never coached anybody, it's like it's one thing to know jujitsu, right? It's another thing to teach jujitsu. It's one thing to know strength and conditioning. It's another thing to actually teach it and to coach someone. And I realized I was like, listen, you could have the best workout program in the world, the best nutrition plan in the world, but if they're not following it, then they're not going to get any results whatsoever.
Yeah.
So the reality is, if we look at health and fitness, everyone knows they should be working out. They know they should be doing something. Everyone knows they should eat more fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, They know that, but they're not doing it. Fuck, everybody knows that smoking cigarettes is really bad for you. It literally says on the box it's going to give you cancer.
And I still do it.
They're not only do they still do it, there's someone right now buying their first ever box. They're not even addicted yet. They're buying it. They see the skull and crossbones. So in my mind, I was like, why are people making the decisions they make? So I switched to behavioral health psychology. I wanted to understand why
In
people
school,
are.
you switched.
Yeah, I
to,
switched
okay.
majors. So I went from exercise science to behavioral health psychology.
Okay.
And that was probably the best decision I made in terms of academics, because that really led me down a path of starting to understand why people make the decisions they make and how to actually help them make those changes. So knowledge is rarely the issue, especially in terms of fitness and nutrition. Like, there's a lot of confusing information out there, but we could just talk about going to the gym or walking.
There's
or
some like
drinking more
universals
water.
that like no one's questioning what's good for you in that sense.
If I went to 100 people, 100, let's say 100 people want to lose weight, all of them, all 100 people want to lose weight, and I had an apple and a donut in my hand, and I said, which one is probably going to be better for you for weight loss? Every single person would say the apple.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay.
Every single one.
Yeah.
But if I said, all right, cool, I just have an extra, you can have whichever one you want, they're not all going to choose the apple, even though they want to lose weight. Why? Why are they making these decisions, even though they have the knowledge? So that's why I really got involved in behavioral health psychology, and it was probably the best decision I made from an academic perspective.
So
you finally found something you didn't hate in school.
Yes.
Fuck. Awesome.
So why do people like we'll say for cigarettes, like what is the science behind it? Like, why
Can it be boiled down to like one answer, kind of? Or?
well, like
that's
I mean,
a
everyone
wonderful
knows.
question.
Yeah, everyone knows
So-
that cigarettes are bad. Yeah.
So for cigarettes, it's a little bit different than fitness and health.
Okay.
Because
But-
they're really cool.
Well, that's the thing is, like, why
Pretty
would
cool.
someone start smoking cigarettes? Like, it's usually because they want to appear a certain way.
Yeah. It's not like I know it's gonna be
Yeah.
so good. It's just
They're
like,
not being like, I'm gonna go buy my first pack just because, like, they're not craving it. They haven't had it. They've seen other people do it, whether it's in movies, friend groups, whatever it is. And they want to impress someone. They want to think they don't care. They want to rebel against their parents, whatever it is. There are
Yeah.
a lot of deeper seated
It's a
issues
social
going
thing.
on. It's more of a social thing. Whereas health and fitness, it actually stems a lot. There are different answers for everyone, but one of the biggest ones is something called self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is it's similar to self-confidence. It's not exactly the same thing, but self-efficacy is your belief at your ability to succeed in a given task. There's actually a lot of this discussion around in sports psychology. So it shouldn't come as a surprise, but the more confident you are in your ability to succeed at something, the more likely you are to do it.
For sure.
Which is,
Oh.
it makes sense,
for
right?
sure.
Of
So
course.
if you think that you can lose weight and keep it off and get healthier,
you're more likely to do it.
you're going to spend more time at the grocery store looking at the ingredients, looking
You
at
believe
the,
in yourself.
You
You
believe
believe in your
yourself.
ability to do it.
It's now
Yeah.
worth it to spend the time and the money learning
Yeah.
this stuff and putting in the effort.
But if you're like, it's
If
not
you're-
going to work, then
If you're
it's
like,
not, it's
I'm
like
fat,
self-fulfilling
out of
prophecy.
shape, my
kinda,
whole family is it, what's the point, da-da-da-da-da,
Yeah.
then why would you spend the time doing it if you don't think it's going to work?
Yeah.
So that for me is it's one of the first tests or there's a scale that I'll take with a client. I'll be like, listen, tell me like how much do you believe in your ability at X, Y, and Z? And I have this Likert scale, a 1 to 10 scale. And without question, if people rate themselves 7 or above, they are infinitely more likely to succeed. But if someone rates themselves 6 or below, then they're far less likely to succeed. So as a
Uphill battle.
coach, my job is to bring them up, and not only bring them up, but teach them how to bring themselves up that scale. Because it's not just on one day, it's like on an every day.
It's a lifestyle.
It's an
right?
every
Yeah.
day you have to believe in your ability.
Yeah.
Same thing with jiu-jitsu. If you didn't believe you could be the best in the world, why the fuck would you be
You're
doing
never
it?
going to be the best in the world.
Ever. You need to, in order to show up to the training multiple times a day, every day, keep your nutrition. It's like,
Yeah.
because you believe it.
Yeah.
That's
No,
it.
To go on a little tangent, actually, we had an old teammate. I don't know if you remember. He had asked John if he could become a world champion. I'm
Oh.
not gonna say like who,
Yeah.
but he had asked. He was a blue belt at the time. He was like, "Do you think I could become a world champion?" And John actually said no, and he quit. And
He still trains, but he never like put in the same effort.
That
he was putting in a lot of work too, and he was getting good, man. He was
Yeah.
getting good. And but the thing is that you're a blue belt. Like,
Yeah.
it takes a long time, and it
Not only that, I feel like if you're a blue belt and you don't know yet, then no one can know. You just have to like try. Like people have breakthroughs. People
Yes.
even like black belts, even like they've been really good, but not that.
yeah, they
you
weren't
know,
able to turn the corner yet.
Then something happens either in their life or their training or whatever, and then they just break out. And it like if you quit, that'll never happen. Maybe if you persevere, it might never happen, but it's more likely to happen if you don't quit. So I mean, I don't know. I would disagree with saying that. Like I would.
Well, I
That's
think
a
actually,
terrible coaching strategy.
well, I think honestly, it might be a true thing because I know 100%. Like, imagine somebody telling you you can't make it in jiu-jitsu. If somebody told me I can't make it in jiu-jitsu,
I'd be like,
fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like there's no. So it's like he could have even been right because of that one instance.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
if you're saying this one person can now dictate where you take your life, it's like fuck you. It's my life. I'll show you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like
He could have
That
used that
belief.
as fuel to be like,
Yeah.
I'll show you.
like
I'll prove
fuck
you
you,
wrong.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
So interesting. Now,
Yeah.
what do you say for somebody that's like the everyday person that's doing the 9 to 5 normal job? They don't have. I feel like it's very easy for us to lose weight. Like I'll be fat and then be shredded in a month.
Well,
like,
I've seen your fat. Your fat is not really fat.
Just
Just
obese.
it's not fat. It's severely.
It's actually, I wanted to speak about this for some time. No, go on.
But
So,
well, anyways,
Yeah.
like we can go from like gaining like 20 pounds
Yeah.
of
we're
unnecessary.
burning so many calories a day.
Yeah,
These,
it's like
two
one
training
session.
sessions.
One session
Yeah.
could be like 1,000 calories,
Easily.
and it's like so we can be in a deficit, and like the fat just like melts off. What do you say to like people that work every day or whatever? They don't have that much time to work out. Like, what is the scale? Because we can say that, all right, go on a diet, you'll be in a severe caloric deficit, you'll get shredded, but then you'll bounce back. Like I was the most shredded. We were both the most
Well,
shredded.
I was the most. He was the second most shredded. It was quite impressive.
But anyways, I got so shredded for ADCC, and then I was gorging. Like I was a glutton for a month after.
Yeah.
Like to
I
the
have
point
funny
where
stories with this
to
too.
the point where I would throw up because
Oh,
I'm just
God.
eating so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
And then I'd be like, I'm gonna eat this too. Like it's so unhealthy. I know.
and it was uncontrollable. Like
I didn't care. I was like, I'm going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
But I know that like, I'm gonna feel like shit for a little bit. I'll be fatter, but give me a month or 2 months, it'll melt off and I'll have a six pack again.
So
Yeah.
what would we say to those people
Yeah, how do you
who,
tell
who
those
can't,
people?
they're not training like us?
yeah.
What do we say?
The important thing is you recognize like you're training as professional athletes and you're training every day or almost every day for hours a day. So it's very different than for the average person who struggles to get 2,500 steps a day, never mind a hard fucking training session or multiple hard training
They have
sessions.
a job and they can't really get outside as much. And all
For,
that
I mean,
stuff, yeah.
for the regular person, for the simple man, the simple woman, for the
Yes.
regular person, nutrition is everything. And you don't, the thing is, so I'm going to be very deliberate with how I say this. You don't need to work out in order to lose fat. You need to work out and exercise for your health, but in order to lose fat, exercise is essentially irrelevant. The vast majority of your fat loss is going to come from nutrition. How many calories are you putting in your body? That's really the most important thing. So if I'm working with someone who's never counted calories before, who doesn't want to count calories, the first thing I have them do is I just have them write down everything they eat. And if they're a one-on-one client, I'd be like, send me a picture of everything you fucking eat. I don't care if it's an ice cube, take a picture of it and send it to me. Because most people are so unbelievably unaware.
Oblivious.
They have no idea. They have
They kind of
it's
graze
easy
all
to
day,
forget.
Yeah.
I had every Sunday I get ice cream with my wife and daughter. It's like yesterday I forgot that I had ice cream. I was like tallying up my calories. I was like, what else? I like completely forgot. I was like later I was like, oh fuck, I had an ice cream cone from TCBY.
A lot of calories.
It's like it's a fair amount of calories.
those
So
in.
you have to you don't even need a count at the beginning. If you want to be more precise, sure. But it's the same thing as keeping a budget in terms of like spending. A lot of people they have no idea how much. It's like write it down, everything. You're gonna keep track
You'll
of
be
it.
amazed. I feel like if you just keep track of it,
Oh,
you'll
it's
be
crazy.
shocked. Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, this handful of people are like, oh, I'm only having a handful of almonds. It's like, all right, well, like 18 almonds is like 200 calories. It's like, and it's
lot
you
of
grab a
calories, yeah.
handful. You're having like probably closer to 30 to 40. And you don't realize, or the granola that people, oh, it's so healthy, it's granola. It's like, all right, listen,
sugar,
That's
probably, yeah.
It's literally all sugar.
Yeah.
And there's M&Ms in there, which is fine, but you're unaware of how many calories you're eating.
Yeah.
So for the average everyday person, the simple man, simple woman, you've got to keep track of how many calories you're eating. That's the most important thing.
And then, all right, so we keep track of calories and then say, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 15 pounds. Obviously, they want to keep track. How do you determine the amount?
How many calories?
How much deficit without having that big spike? Because, like, obviously, it's going to be over time because they're not working out as hard as like the professional athletes, so they're gonna be in a caloric deficit or restricting themselves a little bit. How do you do that so they're not bouncing back right after losing that weight?
So this is a really good question. Essentially, what you're asking is how do you lose weight and keep it off, not just lose weight and then rebound? Because most people yo-yo, they lose it, gain it, lose it, gain it, lose it, gain it. So the goal is not just losing weight is relatively easy.
Take
losing
notes. Take notes.
losing weight and keeping it off. That's the hard part. So the key, a lot of people when they start losing fat in their mind, they go, I'm going to eat as little as I possibly can in order to lose weight as fast as I possibly can.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
The goal with sustainable fat loss is to eat as much as you possibly can while losing weight as sustainably as you can. And sustainably means like something where you're not suffering, you're not starving all the time.
You could live like this.
You could live like it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that way, once you transition into a maintenance phase, once you get out of fat loss phase, it's much easier. It's not a problem. So I have a very simple basic formula that I use to figure out calories for sustainable deficit. Take out my phone right now. It's super simple. And remember, I'm in sped, so I was not a math guy.
We like
I
simple.
had to make this very, very simple.
Like simple.
So let's say someone weighs 200 pounds and they want to weigh 150 pounds. Okay. So their goal weight's 150. They want to lose 50 pounds.
Yeah.
If people are watching and they're doing this in kilograms, do the conversion to pounds.
2.2.
Right, 2.2. Exactly. So what you do is you take your goal weight, 150, multiply it by 12. That's 1,800 calories. Right? So it's not like that bad. 1,800 calories is a pretty significant amount. So I would say 1,800 calories would be like a good target to shoot for. The issue here is as soon as I tell people to follow 1,800 calories or whatever it is, they're like, okay, I need to hit that exactly. It has to be exactly. If I go to 1,801, I fucked everything up. It's like, so what I started doing is instead of having just 1,800, I have a 200 calorie range. So for this person, I would say between 1,700 to 1,900 calories. And if you're in there, you will be in a calorie deficit. You hit that on a daily basis, and I promise you, you will lose fat. It's not as fast as, and again, a lot of people, I want to lose weight more fast. I want to lose weight more quickly. It's like, for what? Like if you're a competitive athlete and you have a weigh-in, for sure. Yeah. But if you're an everyday person and you're not competing, what's the rush?
If it happens, beach in a week.
Yeah. Well, then you're an idiot. You should have done this 6 months ago. Like, don't wait.
That's fair. Yeah.
And start sustainably now because next summer it's going to come around, and then you're going to be like, you wish you had done it starting earlier.
It's also so much healthier. I feel like it's.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely having like a healthy relationship with food. So like, say 50, that hypothetical person needs to lose 50 pounds. What is the goal, or like with that deficit, how quickly would they lose the weight?
So it depends on the person, depends on how active they are, depends on a lot. But average, that person would lose, and I'm going to hammer the word average home, an average of between half a pound to 1.5 pounds a week. But this is really, really important. Now, when I say average, people are they go 1 week, they're like, but I didn't lose it. Like, well, we don't average out week to week. You look at on a monthly basis. So from June 1st to July 1st.
That's a long time to be consistent for a diet.
Most people are not consistent for a week, never mind a month or 2 months. But let's say you lose 2 pounds in the first week, which is very common. And then the second week goes by and you don't lose anything. You're still an average of 1 pound a week.
That's
still very
working.
Good.
Yeah, like the overall graph is like the downtrend.
And one of the biggest mistakes people make with weighing themselves is like, let's say they weigh in on June 1st. They expect on June 2nd that all of a sudden they're going to lose weight. It's like, well, it's one day. There are many things in weight-controlled sports. Athletes know this better than anyone. Your weight can be impacted so easily by like drinking a sip. Immediate. So you compare your weight on June 1st to your weight on July 1st. You compare your weight on June 2nd to your weight on July 2nd. You compare months. You weigh every day, but you don't compare until you get to a month-to-month scenario, which is why I would always tell my clients to be like, listen, you are not allowed to complain about your progress for the first month because this is just all data collection. You're going to weigh in every day, and if you complain about your weight, then I'm going to stop working with you. No complaining allowed. And that immediately is like, okay, fine. And they get to be more consistent. And then the month goes by, they've lost weight, and they're like, oh, wow, I'm eating more than I ever have, and I'm still losing weight. It's like, yeah, because before you would starve yourself, and then you'd binge, and then so you weren't consistent. So it's about being consistent over time.
Wow, super interesting.
So you actually helped me tremendously with my ADCC weight cut.
Which was
a
very, very different type of cut than what I'm describing here.
Completely different. So, like, that's for the average person, not the athletic simple man,
not the elite ADCC
not the elite top of the top,
cream of the crop.
Cream of the crop. So, I performed as good as I can. I didn't win because of other reasons. I felt great, but unfortunately,
I performed to the best of my abilities.
Skill-wise,
It seemed like a great match.
It was.
You were
it
so
was.
close to his back.
I was.
You were so
I was.
close to
You were on his back.
No,
He fucked it.
I could
don't
have. Whatever. That's behind me.
know. Neither here nor there.
The
I was
point
screaming
is,
at my TV. My wife was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I was like,
heard.
"That's Ethan."
I heard the yell.
anyway, I was, I did what I could, and my performance felt as good as it could have been. What I'm saying is my wake up went great. I was like, I'd say the first 2 weeks were the worst, and then once I got in the hang of that
You
calorie,
had someone staying with you in your apartment, and that was really causing you trouble with your nutrition, right?
Liam was there for the first month
Okay.
of it, which was just like, I don't know. If I'm living with anyone, I can't, unless they're like on board with me cutting weight, then I can't. Like he was like, eating whatever the fuck, and it was hard. But anyway, the near the end it got a lot easier, and so thank you again for that.
Yeah,
that
of
was
course.
that was epic.
How much did you lose?
I went from like an incredibly jacked lean 163, 165 to equally incredibly jacked and lean 145.
Significantly, he was already shredded.
Yeah.
And he went from
Yes.
shredded to ridiculously
mega shredded.
It was
Yes.
insane.
How did you go about calculating that for him? How did you help him out with that? What was the goals there? Or do you remember? Do you guys remember?
We were communicating a lot, like we were
Every
texting
day.
back and forth. At the beginning, I'd like tell you what I was eating, like
Yep.
meal by meal.
Yep.
I would track my weight like day to day, obviously. and
I'm saying like what specifically, like what was the protocol for him to lose that weight? Like what did you
So-
do?
And again, I'm going to say this is not what
Yeah.
even if
Yes. This is
this
someone
is a special case for someone
Yes.
as exceptional as myself.
if you're not competing at such a high level.
like
And to be fair, he also came to me late. You came to
Oh,
me
yeah,
like
yeah.
it was like 6 weeks before
Yeah.
weigh-ins, and then it was weird. They had the double weigh-in.
Oh,
It
was
yeah,
so
well,
weird.
Triple technically. Well,
If
if
you
you
make
made
it
it to
to-
second
yeah.
day. But I remember because
this guy is just fucking. Well, it should be 3, but someone. Whoops! Oh, you didn't make it find this guy.
I remember actually. So we were both cutting weight at the same time, and we started off at the same weight. And my weight was going down, and his weight was still up there. And I was like, bro, I was honestly like,
He was
I
stressing
like,
me. I was like, this is normal. This is part because we were just talking about how your weight doesn't have to actually fall. It's an average. I'm like, it's fine. And they're like, you're not gonna make
Dude,
weight.
I was like, and
Fuck, am I not gonna make weight?
there was a piece of me. I was like, please let Ethan miss weight so I can get in there. I need someone to miss weight.
David would like
I'm
feed me
texting
these
Jordan.
like low calorie snacks. They're like coated in.
I was
fucking-
texting Jordan. I'm like giving bad information. I was actually Jordan Syatt and your
Jordan's
phone.
like, yeah, this thing of foie gras, you can eat it. It's so good for you. Super lean.
I felt terrible because you were telling me about your diet, and your diet was so healthy.
It was so
was
strict,
so-
and I wasn't losing weight for like.
Well, before we
2
even
whole
started,
weeks.
I just wanted to get a handle of his nutrition, and his nutrition was so
you
healthy.
eat relatively healthy.
Ice
right?
cubes. That's it.
But
no,
like,
yeah, I do. I eat clean, like as
when
kids, yeah.
when we were talking about reducing calories specifically for something like this, it's like a lot of the healthy stuff, like avocado, for example.
Yeah.
Avocado is an amazing food for overall health.
So many calories,
So
though, right?
many calories. So I was
Yeah.
like, dude, you're gonna have to reduce it. if
That
not
was a
eliminate
big
it.
thing for me because like I didn't really differentiate between healthy eating
Yes.
and weight loss eating.
Yes.
Like I was like, I'm eating super clean. Avocado's
Yeah.
a perfect example.
Yes.
Walnuts.
Yes.
Shit like that. Like
People
you
don't
just
know.
can't because it doesn't do anything for you. You're still starving. And you
Exactly.
have calories in you, and you're like, it's really healthy.
It's
because
amazingly healthy.
of a bunch of reasons, but it's not good for weight
Getting
loss, so-
200 calories from walnuts is like inhaling
you're
air. And it's-
screwed.
Well,
Yeah.
losing the weight that you have to lose also isn't healthy.
Correct.
Is the thing. So
Correct.
It's
yeah.
horrible.
It's probably like the first 2 pounds are healthy, and then it's bad for you for sure. I think.
So what I had to do, I initially gave him a base amount of calories and I was like, wait, text me every day your weight, and basically
Yeah.
I had to keep track of it because what most people don't understand about weight loss or really a lot of things in fitness, it's a lot of guess and check. We start off with a base
Like trial and error.
and trial and error, yeah, and we have to see, okay, cool, let's see how this goes. If he was losing weight ridiculously fast, then I would have upped his calories. If he was losing weight appropriately, we would have kept it the same. If he was losing weight too slow, then we would make a change. And so a lot of people, they want to know, like, well, what's the best way to figure out exactly how many calories you need to eat? It's like,
Everyone's
well,
different.
let's test it. Here's
Yeah.
your base, and then adjust based on progress.
Also, see what you can handle. Like, if you're dying on
Exactly.
1,800 calories, all right, figure something else out, I guess. But
If you're dying on 1,800, I would first look at food quality.
yeah,
If you're dying
fair.
on 1,800, then you're probably eating like fucking
Walnuts
shit.
or
Dude,
something.
well,
Yeah.
well,
That's
so,
what you're doing.
So
Yeah.
Nicky's diet, he was killing himself. Like, he was eating like 1,200 calories or 1,300 calories, but they were coming from full tubs of sugar-free pudding.
I
Yeah.
did that once or twice.
So-
I'm not
so
gonna lie.
He
I
would,
understand.
he would make
It was
tubs
pretty
of like sugar-free or fat-free Jello pudding.
Yeah, because it fills you up so much.
He was like,
yeah.
it's so fucking good. And
Yeah.
he would eat tubs of it after training. And I'm like, I tried it one day, like eating a whole tub. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to eat the whole thing. And then I got like sick from it. I was like, I'm not doing this again.
You got sick from it?
Like, I just felt disgusted. There's so much pudding in my stomach. I was like, my body does not like this.
It felt so good. Just having like the weight of something in your stomach. I was like, oh, this is.
No, my favorite, just because we're on this, my favorite dessert during the weight cut was I would take a cup of fat-free plain Greek yogurt, which is, I believe, 90 calories.
That's exactly right.
Right,
That's
cup,
impressive.
yeah.
90
that's it.
calories. We were counting like fuck. We were so
Good.
strict, but yeah. So we had that. I would take a handful of blueberries, which was around like 30 calories. Then I would take a little scoop of PB2.
Peanut
then-
butter powder.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one.
Yeah.
PB2.
Add
which
some
is like-
great flavor without the
Takes a lot to
calories.
tip the
Yeah.
food scale. You can really dunk it
yeah,
on.
we're weighing everything too,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I would douse it in 0
Olive
calorie maple syrup.
Oh,
Oh,
Bro.
that shit is disgusting.
I know.
Oh my
What?
god. Ew.
Dude,
yeah,
it was
no.
so good.
I came over once and you were like, oh, you gotta try this. Oh my god, it's so good, 0 calories. I tried. I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, enjoy. Yeah, it's like drinking a tumor. That's what it felt like to me. It's like,
Dude,
It's so crazy because Nicky Ryan walks around that weight now. Like he was
Oh,
cutting,
yeah, yeah.
like he was like starving himself, and now he just
well,
walks
well
around.
now
that
he's
weight.
like fucking. He's like eating healthy now, like normally. Like
was he not before?
He just eats whatever he wants to eat. Is the thing. He's like
Yeah.
ordering Uber Eats all the time.
Yeah.
So the man's.
It
fuck-
definitely
he weighed,
causes
he
you to
weighed,
clean up your
He
diet.
weighed over 200 pounds. He got surgery. He weighed over
Oh,
200
yeah.
pounds. It's like the man puts on like his genetics. He
Same.
puts on.
Yeah, he
you
puts on
what?
weight quick.
no, 190,
Oh.
190.
But yeah, he got over 200 pounds, man.
Yeah.
Like, thick. Call him
Wow.
Thicky Nicky, man.
I
Like, he
saved
was
I
fat.
saved your
My life.
life. He was gonna be diabetic if it wasn't for me.
I probably am.
This
I probably
guy,
am diabetic.
You're probably pre-diabetic for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, if Nicky
Yeah.
Rod, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this guy would like, oh, ha ha ha! I ate candy and that's all I eat. And I'm like, dude, you know how fucking bad that is for you? You're a kid.
was-
That's what we're talking about. Also, if you're like an athlete, you train like us, you could do that. But what's going inside there?
I was
those
eating
organs are
candy.
not-
I was eating like a $1 fucking like a dollar store pack of candy
Those like
every
gummy
day.
worms, those like sour.
It was like his
gummies.
vitamins.
Yeah,
it was like sour
they
patch
were-
I'm
Kids,
like, dude,
peach rings.
you know how
Yeah.
fucking bad? He's like, what do you mean? I train and I have energy. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
but so please weigh in on this. Like, how long of doing that, like one bag of those a day,
Yeah.
considering that he trains super active?
Yeah.
How long would it take for him to develop type 2 diabetes?
So there's a lot that would go into it. Number one being genetics, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're more predisposed to it, then that could absolutely accelerate it.
Yeah, our
Um,
genetics are not.
yeah,
not
I think
good
you
for
are
that.
predisposed.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
like what a lot of people, one of the biggest things with type 2 diabetes, one of the biggest contributors is obesity, like being super overweight. So a lot of people think in order to get it, you have to be obese, and then where
But
a lot
you
of people,
can get it before being obese.
100%, and a lot of it is genetic predisposition to it. So even though you train a lot, and even though like you're super lean, someone could still absolutely get it, especially if they have that genetic predisposition. So that's where just keeping track of your blood work.
yeah.
So like get your blood. You should.
I don't like
Oh,
giving
we
them
should-
my blood.
Just want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsors, MASF Supplements and Violent Hippie. Use code SimpleMan, all caps, for 15% off both of those companies. MASF Supplements, trademarked Smash and Greens, Smash and Reds, very nutrient-dense foods. I personally use their creatine and BCAAs during my workout and sometimes even before the workout. For Violent Hippie, they have soaps, USDA CBD oils, T-shirts, rash guards, you name it, owned by former Navy SEAL Mitch Aguiar. Use Simple Man to get 15% off. So good segue.
Perfect. Yeah.
Actually,
Before we
sorry.
do, I just want to clarify, like, getting blood work done is the only real way to know your health status.
Yeah.
You can't look in the mirror and be like, I'm healthy. You can't know. And like, what a blessing that we have the ability to take your blood, get that drawn, and actually get real insight into your health. So if you're ever wondering, like, where is your health status, go get blood work done.
Yeah. So I'm so glad you said that, because I wish Nicky Rod was here to hear this, because
it's too bad.
Jay and Nicky Rod are so deluded in their mind.
Why?
So
Is it conspiracy theories?
they
about
just
taking your blood?
conspiracy theories. They just think, all right, this is what happened. So Nicky Rod tears his bicep, right? You're supposed to have like two bicep heads or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Turns out he has 3.
Okay.
For whatever reason, right? JayRod takes that and he goes.
We're above
He goes.
everyone else.
He's
You
like,
guys are the next evolution.
no. He goes like this. He goes,
Exactly.
"We're built different." He's like, "We're built different."
Well, I mean, he's got a point.
well,
He
Nicky
doesn't have
Rod
a bicep. He has, in fact, a front tricep.
But
He
anyways,
has 3.
so this entire time, they've been eating In-N-Out, thinking everything's good.
That's a tumor growing.
Nicky Rod,
Good bicep.
Nicky Rod has high cholesterol now. Now, I've been seeing mixed opinions on this.
Okay.
That this high LDL is not, in fact, bad.
No, that is incorrect. It can be very dangerous.
Okay, and please explain to
This
our
is pushing a narrative right now, and like especially in like the carnivore crowd. Carnivore is one of the dumbest things anyone can do for their health.
Really?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh wow! Explain this.
Carnivore is truthfully.
I'll stick to gummy bears.
Yeah.
It's one of the most dangerous. And listen,
Really?
I'll start by saying this: I don't wish poor health on anybody except like
Except the
unless it's Hitler
carnivores.
or something. But
Yeah,
like,
fuck that guy.
like I wouldn't.
Hey, Kanye says he actually might be a good guy.
What,
We control the media. We'll get this narrative set. Don't worry.
the nutrition world is very culty. And I've had people who disagree with me
so
on
culty.
nutrition be like, I hope you get cancer. And I was like, geez, like I wouldn't wish that on anyone just because they disagree with me on nutrition. But there's a huge push for like the carnivore lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a craze.
And
lately.
they are manipulating data in
Really?
order to, yes, they are
Oh, shit.
manipulating data in order to cherry pick to push their narrative to say like, this is healthy. There is no question that having a too high of an LDL to HDL ratio is unbelievably
and
dangerous.
that will stem from carnivore diet. From a
Can
carnivore diet.
Saturated
from-
fats.
From saturated animal
So
fats,
saturated fats aren't bad, and this is where we agree. Like saturated fats, they can be totally fine. But there's when you're anyone says you should only eat this, it's like, listen, part of carnivore is like no nuts, no seeds, no fiber. It's like we're looking at rates of cancer, especially among men, colon cancer. One of the leading issues is lack of fiber. Another leading issue is too much red meat. It's like,
Really? Too much red meat?
too much red meat, yes.
Wow.
And listen, I love red meat. I eat steak on a somewhat regular basis, but I'm also
Putrefaction in your gut or something. Does that ring a bell? Or
I don't.
putrefact? Never mind. Forget it.
The biggest issue is like if you're not eating enough fiber, you are not going to be able to poop properly. And if you have this fucking waste sitting in your colon, it's like
turning cancerous.
it's a big problem. It's a big problem. And a lot of people love to say like, I've done the research. It's like, you haven't fucking done the research. You listen to someone on Instagram who has MD in their bio, which, by the way, they didn't get their doctorate in nutrition. And I know this fucking person did not get their doctorate in nutrition. They got their doctorate in something else, and they just have MD there to tell people like, oh, it's the fact, like the appeal to authority. Oh, this person's a doctor. They know what they're talking about. It's not having fiber in your diet is a terrible, terrible life strategy. And I'm so concerned that in the next 10 to 25 years, we're going to see a lot of these people who are pushing this diet end up dying. End up being given horrible diagnoses that I hope never happens to them. But I, as a health professional, I am truly concerned at how big this is getting because it's dangerous and
Well, it
there's
seems like
an overwhelming
balance
amount
is
of
the
data.
best.
Shocker.
What about
shocker? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like not.
What about people with like apparently like Chad Mendes is one. He has like pretty bad psoriasis or whatever, and
Yep.
he switched to like the carnivore diet,
Yep.
and then it was
That's
like,
a great
essentially
question.
cured.
It's a wonderful question. So let's talk about that because that's a very common discussion. So when you go on a carnivore diet, like carnivore diet, I think we can all agree is a very extreme diet.
It's
where
one end of a spectrum for sure. That's even they would say that.
It's very extreme. Well, what do you do when you stop eating all these other foods
the
and you only have
bullshit.
one? Well, it's essentially an elimination diet. So maybe he was eating something that was causing him to have some of these
He
reactions.
got rid of all of it.
He eliminated
Yeah.
everything. He didn't need to eliminate everything, but he eliminated everything.
Just like
saw
a carpet
results.
bomb of
Ethan,
getting rid of
you
it.
keep cutting him off. I'm gonna shove a pencil through your head.
Oh, sorry.
You eliminate everything, and this is what doctors will do if they have allergies or
you.
whatever it is.
We're having a conversation.
So if you think someone that does that, like say they just do, like they just go full carnivore, they just do red meat, salt, and water, and then they start like slowly adding stuff back. You think that's the smart way to do it?
Because then, and this is very, very important, especially for people with autoimmune issues or IBS or whatever it is. There are many reasons why someone might do elimination diet to get down to the bare bones and then add one thing at a time.
Yeah.
See how you respond to it.
You check each variable.
Exactly. That's how you know if something is actually working or not. If you want to pretend you're a scientist and you want to say you're doing the fucking research, then do the research. And granted, you're only an N=1 experiment, but a lot of people are saying, I'm doing the research. No, you didn't. You fucking heard someone else spew this shit, and then you're saying, oh, well, they cited articles. Did you read the articles? Did you actually read the scientific
Read the
articles?
studies.
Did you go into the journals?
If someone cites one thing, I'm like,
Yeah,
I believe
that's
him.
it. Did
I'm
you
a
Peter
con-
Attia.
Did you even
Yeah.
did you even look at the
Just writes
abstracts?
Peter
Never
Attia.
mind like the full study. Did you see how it was conducted? Everyone's talking about LDL not mattering now. I'm like, really? Based on what? Based on what some fucker told you on social media, who's trying to sell you this diet anyway?
Jay's like, yeah, that sounds about
He's like, yeah, that
right to me."
motherfucker.
It's
Some
really,
fucker told me.
it's unbelievably dangerous.
Yeah.
And by the way, I will always say this.
Yeah.
If I'm ever proven wrong, I will always, I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. I've come out and be like, listen, I was wrong about this. I was wrong about this. I was wrong about this. If I'm ever wrong about this, I will gladly say I was wrong, but I'm truthfully worried about this negatively affecting people. And it's now that I have a daughter, I'm like, this is going to kill us. A lot of people are following this. This is going to kill people. They won't be able to hang out with their kids. They won't be able to be with their spouse.
Just
It's
do
like-
the background research into this stuff. Like, if you see something that sounds extreme, like, look at the cited source. Like, this is also, I'm saying this to myself. Like, I've seen an article out there, and I'm like, oh, cite sources, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, they did their homework. So I'm like, definitely.
They're smart
Or
enough.
at
It's-
the very
it's
least,
hard. It's
at
hard.
the very least, if you're going to follow an extreme diet like this, at the very least, get your blood work done every 3 months.
That's true.
Every
Can't
3
go wrong.
months. Wow,
Get it
that's
done every 3 months.
wow.
Or
I definitely
cool,
don't do that.
4 months, 5. I don't care, but you're not following an extreme diet like that.
Oh,
if
fair
you're
enough,
going to
fair
follow an extreme diet like that, and you want to keep track of your health status,
Yeah.
get your blood work done.
Or if something's wrong, like the guy who had psoriasis, like, change something and then check your blood.
Yeah.
Change something and check your blood.
Exactly.
If it goes away, then all right.
It's been
Problem
years
solved.
since I got blood work done.
You should get your blood work done.
I'm
I
scared.
feel like.
Maybe you have 4 biceps.
What
Dude,
up,
what is
Nicky
the
Rod?
whole? You have 3.
We're better than you.
What? Whoa,
Why are you
whoa,
saying
whoa.
we? You don't have 3 bicep heads.
What?
Just because your
same
brother
mom,
has
same
it.
dads.
Who told him he has 3?
The guy
Honestly,
that went into his arm.
It was the same guy
Was
that
it the
sold.
guy?
It was the same
Surgeon.
guy that sold Nicky Rod the camera with lenses. Okay. It was
Ah,
the same
no.
guy.
Here we go.
Yeah.
He's getting swindled. The guy probably said that. And he's like,
It was
I have
a homeless
special
guy.
type of thing for your 3 biceps. Only you can buy here.
Yeah.
That actually
it was a
s-
homeless guy. He was like, "There's nothing wrong with my bicep." He's like,
Oh.
"You have 3 of those."
You have 3. It's actually a front tricep.
Same guy did surgery on my collarbone.
He's like this. He's like, I see 3 biceps there.
He's holding a stethoscope to his legs. NickyRod's like, I'm built different.
Oh my god.
too bad he's not here. It would have been interesting.
Built for
oh,
tough.
what do you think? The More Plates, More Dates video. That's like, I know you haven't seen like the full thing.
I
yet,
saw
but
half of it, and I did not see his blood work. To be honest, I'm gonna just be fully honest.
I
Right.
think he's on steroids.
I thought he was. I very much thought he was.
I think he
After
is.
seeing that,
Yeah.
the most it was a very impromptu
It was so
Oh,
test,
yeah.
and I was like, that would have been in his blood. Now it doesn't mean he's never been on, and I don't know. I can't say, but that I was like, oh shit.
Called it.
I
Yeah,
believe
him.
he
I
fucking
100% like
Yeah.
I truthfully thought he was on.
Yeah.
I think he's a freak athlete. I think you guys
What
are
can
freak
I say?
athletes.
Can I say?
It's
can I say?
pretty insane to me that his blood work showed that he wasn't on, because
Yeah.
if he just took if he went in impromptu, he immediately went in, like it would have been there.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking
feel like
crazy.
it would have been there. Yeah.
And the thing is, also, it's like, so people I know Gordon was saying like, oh, how convenient, like you just cycled off, and it's like
No, it doesn't happen that fast.
that's the thing. Like I don't think people really understand. Like there's gonna be some markers from before.
It depends on what you're taking and the quantities and for how long. But I thought he was just constantly fucking blasting, and clearly that is not the case.
That's not the
at
case.
all.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really
also,
impressive.
for him he would have had to. So his levels were all normal. That means that he would have had to cycle off and do other things to get his
bring it back up.
to bring
Correct.
his stuff back to normal. That would have taken like a
challenge.
longer
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it would've been a long
so
time, yeah.
If it was like 6 months in advance where they had planned this, I'd be like, all right, obviously he'll cycle
6
off.
months, yeah, for sure.
But like for him to go that out of nowhere,
and he just competed.
yeah, exactly. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man.
And the thing,
I was
also,
super impressed, especially for how hard he trains and like,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's-
like I don't blame anybody for going on, especially if you're like
Oh.
anybody.
What do you think causes the high cholesterol?
I can't say in
The
terms
in and
of
outs, maybe?
but does he
Nah,
eat
nah.
a
eat
ton
in and
of
out
red
like
meat?
five,
absolutely.
yes,
For the
pounds of steak and in and out like 4 to 5 times a week.
Don't we think it's slightly convenient that the people who are pushing this diet are also the ones saying, "Well, your cholesterol doesn't matter"? When
The car. Yeah, you know, that's their whole thing.
they'll like,
Yes.
oh, cholesterol is irrelevant. It's like, what the fuck? You're literally going against everything that we
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
based on basic science 101. So yeah, I would imagine that has a large, and even just adding in a little bit of fiber would probably help with that.
Yeah, because I watched this podcast in the morning and they were talking about
Which podcast?
it was just like some small podcast, but they were they were talking about how they didn't know that we have like in our family we have high cholesterol. It's like,
Okay,
it's
so
just
that can
things-
also massively
yes,
contribute to
for
it.
sure. Also, Nicky Rod has been having red meat for the past like 7 or 8 years.
That's it.
A ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
Not that's
Just
it,
a
but
lot,
like
a
a
lot.
lot of it. And then, the guy said he was overtraining. He said he could be overtrained, but I don't think
What?
we overtrain.
Wait.
Overtraining for high
He's saying
cholesterol?
overtraining led to the high cholesterol.
He said overtraining or not getting good rest, not recovering properly.
For
He's
high
sleeping?
cholesterol though,
He's sleeping, but
he gets 8 hours of sleep. He's super big on that.
yeah, but
thought.
I don't know.
What do you think about that? What do you have to say?
I don't know. And this is where I'll say I haven't seen any research showing that overtraining would lead to high cholesterol.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not true, but I haven't seen that.
Maybe the stress.
The
But
elevated
high
cortisol chronically, but
Uh-huh.
honestly, the genetics is number one,
Yeah.
and then the
Diet.
chronic red meat, which again, like I love red meat, I eat it on a regular basis, but I also don't not eat fiber
Yeah.
or other nutrients with like so many other foods.
Yeah.
If you look at
Yeah.
the longest living societies in the world, shocker, they have a very balanced diet. It's not
We're
just one
omnivores.
food.
We're omnivores.
We're omnivores.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, you personally, where do you get your main sources of fiber from? Just like throughout your
I was
diet.
just
through
about
your
to ask this.
So there's a lot. There's some great sources. So avocado is one of my favorites. Avocado is one of my favorite foods ever. Surprisingly, has a lot of fiber.
A lot of fat too. A lot of healthy fats.
A lot
right?
of
Yeah.
super high quality healthy fats. Like I think avocado is one of the best foods you can eat. Very high fiber. There is a cereal. It's called All Bran Buds. I have this. I literally had it in the car on the way over. I have it every single day with Greek yogurt. All Bran Buds, 1 cup of it has 17 grams of fiber. Generally speaking, men should be getting a minimum of 35 grams of fiber a day. It's a pretty low estimate. Women should be getting a minimum of 25 grams a day of fiber. I would like to see everyone getting more, but if that's your base, then amazing.
What's your recommended? Not that like.
I would.
like,
That's the
what would you
minimum.
want? Yeah.
You
Ideal.
can overdo it, especially if you're shitting your brains out all the time.
Yeah.
But like I would say between like for men between 35 to 55 grams is a really great place to
number.
shoot
And
for.
that's like your average person.
That's for the average male. Yeah.
What about like above average people?
Like us.
Like us.
Same.
specific.
Fiber will stay the
He's like,
same
whoa,
for
that can't
sure.
be. Can't be.
Yeah.
What if you have more biceps?
Yeah.
So all brand buds are one of the best. Pumpkin seeds have a ton of fiber.
really?
Yeah, I
Really?
love pumpkin
I
seeds.
love pumpkin seeds.
I have the chia seeds, or I eat something called Zen basil seeds, which are similar. They're great.
What did you
Why'd
just
you
laugh?
laugh at that?
He said chia seeds. I have a horrible story about chia seeds.
What are they?
Oh, I
Did we
remember
talk about
this.
this?
Yeah, on
What?
the WNO. WNO.
Ah. Tell
Oh
me,
my
wait,
God.
you pooped them out weird?
Dude, no.
it
So he,
was
all right, you want to
bad.
What happened?
Okay, so I was
Chia seeds. What could possibly go wrong? with fucking chia
So-
seeds?
I had this kick going. I was eating just like chia seeds. Like I would put it in milk.
This was
and
pre-match or
like
something?
overnight oats
Oh,
type of
yeah.
deal.
That's
Okay,
a
yeah.
great
It was
strategy.
great when I was eating, but one day it was actually the day of competition. I'm like watching what I eat, so I only had
So morning of.
morning of.
Yeah.
I only had like half a mason jar of chia seeds and like 2 eggs. Didn't eat anything else. Had maybe some like fruit here and there, nothing crazy. Water,
Some rotten meat. Nothing
whatnot.
crazy. Yeah.
And then I compete, I lose. After that, I have chia seeds again with like acai. And
Chia
then
pudding. You
Chia pudding.
The one you made.
No, another one.
Oh, more
that
chia seeds.
Yeah, more chia seeds.
Did you
What?
measure how many chia seeds you had?
No.
It was immeasurable.
It was a lot though. It was.
What made you go on this chia
Well,
rampage?
David had bought like
Remember
acai with
WNO?
cheese.
WNO were eating the
seeds.
chia pudding. You were there. It was
I
when he
remember.
He was
Yes.
competing.
I had
against-
some of it.
Yes, I got
Yeah,
it, and
yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, this is amazing." Whatever.
It was
I
all
didn't
right,
poop
but
that
okay.
entire day, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I normally poop like two, 3 times a day." Two tree. The next morning, I shit a fucking brick. That shit was so wide.
Did you
It
tear
was-
your butthole?
I think I almost tore my butthole.
He was screaming
It-
on the toilet. He's like,
So
right.
I took that poop. I had to go in 2 times for that. The first time it didn't work out. I was like, I'm gonna
You
work.
just sat on
get
the
it out.
toilet
I
and you were
couldn't
like,
get it out. I'm gonna work this storm out. Like I'm gonna give it some
Wait,
time.
you sat on the toilet,
Couldn't
tried,
couldn't
and
poop.
wow.
And then I went back to
Well, poop was sideways, maybe.
it's like a baby. And
Yeah,
like,
yes,
you have
yes.
to turn that.
Yeah, the umbilical cord was strangled.
But the second poop I get it out, and then dude, for like a week after, it was sore. Like it hurt to
he couldn't sit down properly.
It hurt to sit. It
Your
hurt to
bum
roll.
hole.
It hurt like just everything hurt.
Was there blood?
No, there wasn't blood, but
good.
man, that thing was fucking.
Did you take a picture of
It
it?
was rough. No, I
You should have like
Oh,
held it
man.
and took a picture of it with, like a fish you caught, you know?
Bro,
Wow.
fucking. If it was any bigger, it
Chia
would have broken
seeds.
the toilet.
All right, so disclaimer, have your fiber, but don't go overboard.
Yeah.
Have your extremes.
They're balanced.
So what are some other
Balance.
things that you eat to get your fiber? What else?
Okay, so I said
Or you recommend?
avocado, chia seeds, and basil seeds.
Easy on the chia seeds.
Pumpkin seeds. What else has a lot of fiber in it? Oh, so I have these. Have you had these carb balanced tortillas?
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, pretty much all fiber.
Dude,
It's pretty much all
it's
fiber.
like 15 grams of fiber.
It's
for
like
one tortilla.
tapioca fiber or something.
It's so good.
I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Super good. And I'll just I'll take avocado, spread it in there, make a turkey sandwich
Wrap
with
it up.
it. It's like I hit my fiber for the day in one meal. And then I add the all brand buds on top of that, and or Zen basil seeds, whatever it is. Like I've hit my 40 grams easily. So obviously,
Very good.
fruits, vegetables have a lot of fiber. I know a lot of people in the carnivore community are like, vegetables are poisonous. Vegetables are going to kill you.
What
I'm
is
like,
that about? That seems
It's
the most
crazy.
insane to
Yeah.
me. That vegetables are bad because plants are not meant to be eaten. Like
It's
that.
almost like our ancestors have eaten them forever.
They've been doing it all wrong. Yeah,
It's people throw the word poison around way too liberally.
dude,
It's if it's poison,
you'll die.
you die.
Yeah, a lot
So
of
let's-
people eat this poison every
Yes,
day.
in large quantities,
Yeah.
and they're totally
They
fine.
have pretty high life expectancies.
Yeah, so fruits, vegetables, apples have a fair amount. Raspberries have a fuck ton of fiber.
Really?
Raspberries have a lot.
I would not have
Berries in
thought.
general.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So fruits, vegetables, and all those things are
Okay.
fantastic.
Wow, interesting. I definitely need to keep track of my fiber. I don't actively think about getting fiber in my food.
Once I made weight, I stopped
Caring.
counting everything. I didn't weigh. I only weighed myself out of interest, like to see how disgusting I have become. It was brutal.
I
Yeah,
got
I
up
so
to
like
170.
circling back. Yeah, I got up to 170 the next day.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, the same.
The next day,
yeah.
I was
How-
almost
145
doing it
we weighed
out
in.
of spite. Yeah,
How many
fuck you.
pounds? How many pounds is that in like 24 hours?
25.
25. Wow.
It-
Crazy.
yeah.
Same thing.
Wow.
In
Yeah,
one
yeah.
day.
That's crazy.
One day.
I remember
I did 24
I held
one
on
time.
to my hunger and
Uh-huh.
I kept eating and I stayed like as if I was cutting weight. I stayed that level of hungry.
Hungry?
Just couldn't.
Yeah, it's so unhealthy and like mentally.
It was
unhealthy,
all
like-
mental. It was all mental.
Have
It's
you
all
have
mental.
you read the Minnesota Starvation Experiment?
No.
You told me about. I read a little bit about it. But
What is
not
this?
enough
It
to.
was a
Enlighten
they can't
us.
replicate the study. It's super unethical.
Oh, it's fucked up.
They literally starved people,
Yeah.
and like they volunteered for it, but like you can't replicate the study. But they legit starved people.
For how long?
I don't remember how long it was.
It wasn't
8
that
hours.
long.
It
5
wasn't
hours.
Dude, it wasn't
like
that long,
a
and they
couple
went
weeks
crazy.
or a month. Like
What?
the physiological. Anytime someone says, "Oh yeah, you're in starvation mode from eating too little," it's like, all right, go look at the Minnesota. Like,
Yeah,
how many
you're
starving
fine.
people are in the world who are fat because they're starving? Like, come on, like it doesn't. It's not real.
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
So that's number one. Number two is the psychological aspect of starvation. You are describing it perfectly, where you cannot, no matter how much you eat, you're still
You're
eating.
hungry,
You're still
yeah.
you can still eat, even if you're uncomfortable and like full. You just want to keep eating, keep eating, keep eating. You put yourself through some extreme starvation in order to make weight. That's what happens, and that's how binge eating happens. This is why in like the jiu-jitsu, wrestling, mixed martial arts community, disordered eating is huge. I don't know if I should say this fighter's name. I actually really like this fighter a lot, but one big fighter right now is clearly struggling with binge eating. Very obviously, he
Patty the Batty.
like, and I feel like he's been pretty open about it, sort of like.
Yeah, he's like he boasts about. He's
What
almost
are your
like his.
thoughts on? He's like, I'd
his,
rather be fat and happy, lad.
so.
fun and
So
hoppy.
I'll say this: I like him a lot. I'm a big fan. If he sees this, like,
big fan.
huge fan. He's struggling with binge eating, and you can see it very clearly. He goes from cutting weight, making weight, and then he'll gain
To
50
obese.
pounds.
That's
50
disgusting.
pounds very quickly.
Yeah.
And aside from how it could potentially affect his performance, it's just like it is very dangerous to do this over and over, and you wonder how long can a career
That's
last.
hard on your body.
And I feel really bad because I couldn't imagine the pressure he feels. So many eyes on him, and he's like he has all of this potential to live up to, and all these people putting money and investing into him, but like. He has to weigh in. Like, this is his sport. This is his livelihood. So he feels a tremendous amount of pressure to do this. It's he's struggling big time, and he has not told me this. This is just my projection from outside looking in. But you don't gain 50 pounds after weigh-ins consistently, and like have a healthy relationship with food. It's just
There's no way.
you can't.
Fuck, that's what I'm worried about when I eventually have to cut to 135 for pro MMA. I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah.
What's your plan?
Patty
Retire.
the Batty.
Patty the Batty. Retire.
Retire. Yeah, retire before I have to make the cut.
I can't make weight. It's over.
I'll tear my ACL and pull out.
Good
No,
call.
I
Good
mean,
plan.
I'll go through I'll just start off slow. I mean, I know it's gonna suck, but the thing is, all those MMA, every 135er walks around my weight or even a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like
They make it
they
work.
all if they can do it, man.
Yeah.
They're not.
I would
special.
imagine, especially with the 24-hour weigh-ins, like they just cut a lot of water.
Of water. That's
Yeah,
gonna be a big
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
water cuts, I would imagine last a while.
Yeah.
and they.
ADCC is different. You have to
It's
weigh
same
it
day. It's
day
same day.
before and morning of. That's crazy.
I don't know why they do that. I would imagine it's because they want to discourage people from cutting.
But
But
the weight classes are huge.
Yeah,
No.
10
Well,
kilos.
I heard that it was actually because they wanted to let the guys know if somebody couldn't make weight, which I still
Oh.
think is stupid. So they're like, oh, this guy's 15 pounds over the night before. He's not going to make it for the next day. We're going to get the replacement we're going to let him know for the
Yeah.
biggest tournament of the year. But it's like, you
I-
still
I-
shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
You
no,
give
no,
him,
no.
what was it? 2 kilo allowance? I forget what
the
we
day before?
day before. What is the
Day before is 1.
Oh, 1
morning of
kilo
is
allowance.
0.
Dude, that's so fucking.
If you're worried about, all right, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. You don't want to discourage weight cutting, or they want to make sure.
Just don't cut, bro.
Yeah. Hey,
yeah,
you're
do
right.
that. Try to do that. No, we'll do 177. Fuck. Oh, not 177. 77 kg. 170. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's too big. That's crazy. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, how did you were actually working with Gary Vee for a bit, right?
Yeah,
As
3
his personal
years.
trainer, 3 years. How
yeah,
did that connection happen?
do you want the longer story?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Whatever you, yeah.
Or
So-
if you have the time.
I'll stay here all night. My
He's like,
mom's
actually,
calling
really,
me.
I gotta go.
No, my mom's calling me. Decline. I love you, mom. Can you imagine if I picked up?
Hey, do it if you want, man. Yeah.
So I started making content in July of 2011, and I started writing articles. So I was training at a gym called Westside Barbell under Louis Simmons, and I was
That's cool.
yeah, it was amazing.
That's
wait, you know
fucking
who that
cool.
is?
Yeah.
Oh, I
a
don't know
famous-
Louis.
It's the
I don't know
most
Louis.
famous
Oh,
powerlifting
okay,
gym
okay.
in the world. Louis just
I never heard of this.
yeah,
I never heard of it.
yeah.
I have no clue.
It's the
Ah,
the
he's
strongest gym in the world.
Yeah.
Strongest?
Like
Did
by
you tell Nicky
far.
Rod this?
Did
You
you
tell
tell
Nicky
Nicky
Rod?
Rod?
No, that's their whole thing.
We had a
The
power
strongest-
lifter
the
in. We had a
strongest
power
in the
lifter in
world.
2 days ago, and then Nicky Rod. I was like, "Who's stronger, you or Nicky Rod?" And then the guy was like, "I'm definitely stronger." And then he's like, "Which gym? Like, which gym are you stronger than me?" Nicky Rod was like, "Not having it, not having it at all." But anyways,
So
Kyrie,
that's a
sorry.
good topic too. Who's
So I was
stronger
making
than-
content. When I went to Westside, just quick aside, the weakest lifter, squatted 800 pounds.
Were you the weakest
No,
lifter?
no, no.
Like,
Before
like,
I went.
Jesus Christ, bro. what-
Before I went, and so I wrote Louis Simmons an email. He was the owner. He passed away last year.
Oh, all right.
Shit.
You didn't hear about this? Was a big.
Yeah, it was huge.
I don't know.
You should watch. He was on Rogan.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm under a
It
rock,
was one of the
man.
greatest episodes.
Really?
Of all
Okay, I'll check it out. I'll check it
I'm
out.
under a rock too, but I heard about that. That got in there. That's
But
super crack.
I wrote Louis an email. I was like, "Listen, I'll take the trash out. I'll clean the floors. I'll walk your dogs. I just want to like come and learn from you." And Louis replied in an email. He goes, "Our weakest guy squats 800 pounds. What do you have to offer?" And then so I went out and I did a whole tryout.
It's
and
like,
everything.
again, I'll clean the mats, walk your dog.
But it's like it's not like a gym with a sign on the door. It's in an industrial park. You don't know
Okay,
where it is. You
okay.
have to be invited to go.
Wow.
It's like a dungeon, blood and
it
chalk.
became famous, like
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
okay.
like insane levels of strength. But so I was writing articles online, and for like the first 2 years of me having a website writing articles, I got like 20 views a day, 18 of which were my mom, and like no one saw any of my content. And basically, I wrote an article in 2012 that to this day is one of my least popular, least read articles ever written. It was an article about how to improve your posture if you sit at a desk, and it was like a informative article, but like
Yeah.
it was shitty. Very few people saw it. One person saw it definitively, and he left a comment on it, and he asked a question. I don't remember what it was. I didn't know who this guy was. Random guy asked a question. I replied, answered his comment. That was in 2012. The person who left that comment, I didn't know who he was. He ended up, at the time he left the comment, I found this out later. He was an accountant in Chicago. He moved from Chicago to New York because he wanted to become a personal trainer. He met Gary through his internship in New York, and he became Gary's first personal trainer.
Oh.
And he coached Gary for 2 years. And after those 2 years were up, he asked, his name is Mike. Gary asked Mike, he's like, "Do you want to continue?" And Mike was like, "I think I want to go off on my own." And Gary said, "Who's going to coach me next?" And Mike said, "I think I know a guy."
Wow.
I didn't know
What a connection.
Mike. I didn't know that Mike had left a comment on my website years prior. I didn't know any of this. So I was living in Israel. I had moved back to Israel, and basically I get an email being like, "Hey,
Hey, you want to coach Gary?
do you want to coach Gary Vee?" And I thought it was bullshit. I was like, "There's no way."
Holy
there's no way.
shit.
So
Sick.
I flew to New York, coached Gary, flew back to Tel Aviv, all within 36 hours, and then I don't hear anything for like 6 weeks. So I was like, I must not have gotten the job. And all of a sudden, I was at my family's house in Haifa in the north of Israel, and I get a text
there.
saying, "Are you ready?" from an unknown number. And I didn't know who it was.
Yes.
So I just said, "Who the fuck is this?" And then I get a picture of Gary shirtless and flexing.
Sick.
And that's how I found out I
He was
got the
naked?
job. So
You're like,
I moved
"Well,
from...
are you ready?" I don't know.
So then I moved to New York, and I
Wow.
coached Gary 7 days a week for 3 years straight,
Holy
from June
shit.
1st, 2016 to June 1st, 2019.
That must have been a cool experience, just like, spending all the time sort of guiding him through that, I don't know, beginning
It
to
was
end process.
it was
and
quite an experience. I learned a lot. Gary is an amazing
I'm sure.
human, exactly like he is online. That's the first question people ask: is he like he is online? Exactly. He's like
Really?
exactly like he is. It was intense. So wherever Gary went, I went. So if he went to Hong Kong, I went to Hong Kong. If he went to Amsterdam, I was in Amsterdam. If he was in London, I was in London.
Sick.
So he was
70
super into fitness. Like he was like
He wanted to train every day.
Did you go to
Awesome.
those places? Like, was
Every
it,
yeah,
That's
I
what
was
you
there.
said.
yeah, but I thought it was
No.
maybe an example of somewhere you actually went. Like, he flew around and you would go to all those different
So,
places.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would try and be about 12 hours ahead of him. So let's say we spent more time in airplanes and hotels than we did in actually New York.
Crazy.
So let's say I coached him one day in New York at 6 a.m. and the next day I was going to coach him, we'll say in London, which we did like once or twice a month, very often.
You'd fly there before?
I'd fly immediately after our training session. I'd
Sick.
get there, get the hotel, I'd figure out where we're going to work out. So then he would fly there later that night after a full day of work. He'd do the red eye, get off the flight. We'd work out early in the morning, and then wherever we're going next. Wherever we're going, like, we're not sightseeing. We're not staying there for a week. Like, I remember one time I went from New York. We were in Ireland for 8 hours. I coached him in Ireland. From Ireland, we went to the Netherlands. We were in the Netherlands for like 16 to 24 hours. From there, we flew back to New York. We were in New York for less than 24 hours. Then we went to LA. We were there for a couple days, flew back. Like, this is what life was like. That's why I got really fat and out of shape when I was coaching him, because
But Gary got in shape, I bet.
Gary got in great
Yeah.
shape. Gary got leaner and more muscular, and I got fatter and less muscular.
Yeah.
Bro, that's honestly fucking so
That's
cool.
really cool, yeah.
Considering that, like, I mean, he runs like a social media like empire.
Yeah.
And he's about like he's
He
going to
understands the
extent
importance
fitness.
of
yeah,
that. Yeah.
that he's working out that often, that frequently. It's like you see so many people that are are so immersed in their job, and then they're getting fatter as they get older. But it's like you have somebody that's established in their field,
Yeah.
and still working out like that.
And,
That's
dude,
fucking
he
nuts.
he would work until 11, 12, 1,
Yeah,
2
I
in
heard
the
he
morning.
like never sleeps.
And then we would work out at 5, 6, or 7 in the morning.
crazy.
7 days a week. No,
Wow.
no breaks. It was crazy. And I
Sheesh.
told him, I was like, you don't need to work out 7 days a week. And he was like, no, I know I don't need to, but I want this on my calendar as something I have to do every day. Sort of like brushing my teeth, taking a shower. It was like,
Workout.
we weren't gonna, it wasn't an excruciating workout every day. Sometimes it was stretching or mobility or like cardio.
Just something every day.
Something
Yeah.
every single day. You have to make the time every day to have movement and exercise. And he's a beast, and he did it every day.
What a G. Now you amassed your a following of like on Instagram, at least almost 1 million followers.
Yeah.
Right, just underneath. Now, like, how did Gary help you through that, or did you already know how to build your brand on social media? Like, how did that go?
So before I was coaching Gary, I was doing some social media, but mainly email marketing. So I would try and get everyone who followed me to my email list, and I didn't want to be very public facing. I was just doing everything via email. But when I started coaching Gary, I was like, listen, this guy's like the king of social media, so I want to like practice social media while I'm with him. So basically, I was posting maybe like 4 times a week. For the first 6 months I was with him on Instagram, and I would do YouTube and stuff as well, but it was pretty lackadaisical. And I had gotten about 5,000 followers just on my own over the years. But on December 27th, 2016, so I'd been coaching Gary for about 6 months at this point. We were in Naples, Florida, and Gary was like, how's social media going? Da da da. And I was like, oh, it's okay. And he was like, all right, I want you to post 3 times a day every single day. And I was like, every day? I was posting 4 times a week, 5 times a week at most. He was like 3 times a day, every single day. I was like, number 1, people are going to unfollow me. And number 2, I was like, what the fuck am I going to post about 3 times a day every day? He's like,
Right.
No excuses, just fucking do it. So that was December 27th, 2016. 26th or 27th. Anyway, I leave the workout that morning, and I made a post. It's still on my Instagram. You scroll down far enough. I was like, Gary told me to post 3 times a day every day. This is my first one. I don't know what to talk about. If you want me to talk about anything, let me know. I posted twice that day, not 3 times. So I go into coaching the next day, and Gary was like, so did you post 3 times yesterday? And I lied. And I was like, yep. And he's like, no, you didn't. I checked. And I was like, I did not expect this fucking guy to check my
Sheesh.
Instagram.
Gary V is like on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Like,
And
1,
he's
2?
like, only 2. And so then from that day, so December 28th, 2016, until June or July of 2017, I posted 3 times a day, every single day, nonstop. There were 2 Sundays in which I only posted twice, not 3 times, but 3 times a day, every day, without exception for those 2 Sundays. And from December 28th until April 7th, my audience went from like 5,000 to 14,000 on Instagram, which like it's a lot, like tripled in a few months. But for 3 times, I was spending 8 hours a day making content, 8 hours a day thinking, creating, posting, replying, all that stuff.
Yeah.
April 7th, I had my first piece of content go viral. And
What was it? Do you remember?
I do remember. It was an infographic, April 7th, 2017, looking at the difference between white rice and brown rice. And because people ask which one's healthier, and I'm like, well, they both are great. They both have pros and cons. And it was a Friday night. I was on the phone with my mom actually, and I hit publish. Friday night, terrible time to post. Usually, I just went nuts. Like followers started going in like crazy. So I was like, oh my god. So then I made another one, sweet potatoes versus white potatoes, and I posted it and went fucking nuts. So from April 7th until June or July, I went from 14,000 followers to like over 200,000 followers.
What?
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking
And
Well,
then
congratulations. That's sick. So which is better, white or brown?
they're both whatever one you want. They both have pros and cons.
White or black
But-
people?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Oh shit.
But what I will say is, like, it was 3 times a day, every day for months leading up to that. And I'd still been making content since 2011. A lot of people in their mind, they think they want to go viral, but they haven't spent years making content before then. And I've seen a handful of people, between 3 to 5 people, go viral, just like everyone says they want to. And they have a huge influx of people. And for about 3 to 6 months, everything's going great. And then it collapses. Because if they go viral early on, before they've gotten the habit of making content consistently,
It fades,
it
fizzles.
fades, and they have unrealistic expectations of what social media really is like. So they think everything's going to go viral. And they think it should all have this amazing response. But they soon realize it's not how it works.
It's just constant.
It's
like, yeah.
They get too caught up in the numbers, and then they end up quitting. So I think one of the best things that ever happened to me was putting in years of work before things took off. So I had all the systems ready, and I knew generally what social media was actually like. And then when it did start popping off, I was like, I knew that was rare. And so as opposed to thinking this should be happening all the time, I was more like, oh, when this happens, great. But usually it's not going to happen like this.
I do have a question for you. So, when we spoke a month ago or 2 months ago, I was talking to you about actually trying to be a bit more,
Active on social media.
active, but more. What's the word?
Intentional.
Yeah, intentional. We'll say, yeah. Versus just posting. Because before I was posting, 10 to 15 second clips of cool moves I hit that day, or during training that people would like it. But I felt like I really wasn't like monetizing my following properly. I wasn't treating it like a business.
Yep.
And stuff like that. And then talking to you, obviously. That's how you grow your brand, is through that. So we were talking on the phone. I was like, hey, what can I do to help me grasp my following better? And you actually told me to, so that's what I've been doing for the past month or so now, is making clips where pretty much anybody can look at my Instagram and immediately implement it right away. So they look at this and then they're able to immediately implement that into their game. Now, what would you say? So I've been posting that, but the thing is, like, sometimes, so we'll say, like, I was traveling one day, I wasn't able to actually get on the mask to make a video. So then I would post just another technique video or a move that I hit, a week before, or whatever. I post that. But then, do you think should I still post that, or should I just keep it all the same kind of aesthetic type of thing? Like, where they're all only technique videos, or like, do I not post the video or instructional videos? Do I not post the cool move that I hit, that people will really like? Well, what's your recommendation for that?
I think you should post both. But I think the majority of your content, here's what I'll say. If you want to build a business off of your social media.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, let's look at ways we can do that. We have sponsorships, ads, which I think is a terrible way to do it. Like, if you are doing ads, like, I'm not saying those are inherently bad, but you are now beholden to them, and you're building your house on someone else's lawn. Like, let's say something comes out about you that the sponsors don't like, boom, done. Money's out immediately. Whereas if it's your business and you get to control it, like, you're not beholden to the sponsor. You can say whatever the fuck you want, and you're uncancelable, which is, I think, the best way to be. So I think one of the best ways to build a business off of social media is through education. There are 3 main types of content. You have educational content, which is what you're doing. You have entertainment style content, which is like Trey Kennedy or stand-up comedians would do. Like, they just entertain you, and people love to follow them because it's like funny.
It's very entertaining. I feel like your stuff is super entertaining.
And
right? Not really educational based, right?
I mean, you could learn a few things.
And then you have a combination of the two, which I think is the best of both worlds. Who does a good job of that is Craig. Craig is very entertaining, and
He still has very useful content.
very
like,
useful.
yeah.
So for you and for anyone who in jiu-jitsu, I would say is doing instructionals should probably be like 90% of your content. Instructional videos should be like the vast majority, especially at the beginning. Then, because the old saying, people don't care about you until they know how much you care about them. Have you heard that saying?
Now I have.
It's a super. People don't care about you until they know how much you care about them. How do you show them how much you care? You give them free content. Help them. Show them that you care. Help them for free.
Things.
Then I would say 90% of your content, 95% of your content should be helpful, free content. So as soon as they watch it, they're like, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And then as the audience grows and as people get to know you more, well, now they're going to want to hear more about your life. your girlfriend, your job, what else is going on, what cool move did you hit in training today. They just want to get to know you better. It's like people ask me personal shit all the time, but it's just because I've built so much goodwill by giving them free information where now they care about me. Well, tell us about you. Tell us about your wife. Tell us about your daughter. Like, what's going on with you? They care because I've shown them I care. So the vast majority should be free, helpful information, and build an audience of people who fucking love and appreciate you. A lot of people, they want to build these huge audiences, and there's some advantages and some disadvantages to it. But I would rather have 100 people that would die for me than 1,000 or 100,000 people that were like meh about me. You know, it's like you have 100 people who would die for you. You're never going to go out of business. 100 people who buy everything you put out.
Like diehard fans.
Diehard. You have 100 people who. There's I forget who wrote the article years ago. I think it was 2012. It was called 1,000 True Fans. If you have 1,000 people who fucking love you, you're set forever. You don't need
1,000.
1,000. You don't need hundreds
That's
of thousands or millions. It's very doable.
I mean,
Especially in this day and
1,000
age
diehard.
when you
I
can
mean, well, think
post it
about
on.
selling 1,000 of anything. Like
Imagine 1,000
No, it's
instructionals.
good.
Every time you put an instructional out, 1,000.
instructionals, 1,000
1,000 coffee mugs.
1,000 subscribers to a
Monthly thing.
a monthly.
Could you imagine?
subscription. You're chilling.
Yeah.
You're chilling
You're
with
good.
1,000.
You're good.
Oh yeah.
And the vast majority of people who support me, and I thank God for them every day, they do it. They either subscribe to my inner circle or whatever it is. Yes, they get benefits from it, but a lot of them just stay in to support me. And I'm so grateful for that. It's like they don't have to keep paying. I have a ton of people. I'll never forget. I did a retreat in Austin, Texas, for my inner circle members, and one of the members.
I saw you when you were on that trip. Yeah.
One of the members stood up in the middle of it, and they're all just going around introducing themselves, talking about how great the weekend was. And one of the members goes, "I've been in the inner circle for 3 years. I haven't done a single workout from the inner circle.
I'm just a fan.
Like, I just really support. I like everything you do."
That's sick.
Fuck. Shit. Cool.
Cool.
He had a
Very
different.
cool.
He had a different
Yeah.
personal trainer, a different coach. He's like, I really like, and he flew all the way from Seattle to Austin for this event. I was like, just to support. It was
As
like
a true spectator, I feel like we don't have that a lot in jiu-jitsu. Like guys just
Well, he built that.
yeah.
But you can build that.
Yeah.
I think someone in jiu-jitsu who I think does a really good job of that is Chujitsu.
Oh,
He's so good at that. You know who else does a really good job? More recently coming out is John Thomas on Instagram.
about
I know this guy. Yeah.
He does an amazing job, and it's just like they aren't even necessarily like the highest competitors in the world.
Yeah.
But they help people. Like, I look at I love their content. I'm like, that's super helpful. Thank you. If they put something out, I'll buy it just to say thank you, because I know how much people don't know how much time and effort this shit takes.
Yeah.
Once they see it and they see how much time and effort you're putting in and they appreciate it, they will support you. I would rather have a business that's built on people supporting me than a business that's built on people needing me. And I think this is really, really important.
Okay.
I think a lot of people who put out content, they'll try and skew things or make things seem scary or fearful or whatever because they want people to think they need them. I want my clients to be like, I don't need you anymore. I want them to be able to go off and fire me. I want them to fire me as fast as possible. But if they stay on to support me, like, that means I've done a really good job.
Right.
I would rather people not be scared into working with me. I want them to be able to be like, I just want to support you because you've helped me for free. And that is a very real thing. It's a very real thing.
Cool. Very cool. Very
Wow.
cool.
No, that's super helpful.
Yeah, it's valuable.
Super helpful.
Yeah.
With your social media platform, granted, I'm really only on Instagram, but you're over pretty much all social media platforms. Like, I see a lot of your posts. Are those tweets that you're usually screen cap?
So I use Twitter as like a testing ground for content. Like Twitter, I think the retweet is the most powerful button in all of social media.
Wow.
It's super retweet goes crazy.
I'm not on Twitter
You
at
never
all.
know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not on
I
Twitter
think
at all.
a close second would be the share button on Facebook. Facebook is not dead, no matter what people say. Facebook is literally
Facebook is alive.
Dude, I saw
Facebook is the
Gary-
top social media website in the world.
I saw Gary Vee saying
Okay,
something about
okay.
Facebook Reels.
Reels. Yes, yes.
They're
Facebook
going
Reels.
crazy.
My
Really?
cousin had
Yes.
sent that to me.
Yep.
That's apparently like
It's huge.
We got to get
Yeah.
Simple Man on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean,
You have
he's-
to.
He
Yeah.
just sent this to me.
You have to. It's
Yeah.
super important.
Wow.
But I'll put something on Twitter, just get an idea of how it goes, and if it gets a good response, then I'll just take that
Screenshot Instagram.
and I'll put it on Instagram, and then I'll take that, and if that does well, then I'll make a long form YouTube video about it, and then I'll make a long form YouTube video about it, and then I can take those and make clips to put them back on Instagram, back on YouTube. So it's like
That's a big cycle.
it just goes back and forth.
It's a big content cycle.
Yeah.
Are you
cool.
so people comment on your page. Are you responding to the comments?
So when I first started, yes. So when I was doing the 3 times a day every day, I made a rule with myself. I had to wait for 30 minutes after I posted every post and reply to every single comment. And it wasn't just like the fire emoji or like the thumbs up. It was a real reply.
Yeah.
Really?
A
Mainly because
sentence, like a full out.
imagine this is one of Gary's like best analogies ever. Imagine you invite people over for dinner. You take the time, you cook, you prepare a big meal, you set the table. They come over and they're like, "Oh my God, Damien, thank you so much for cooking."
And you
And
respond
you just
with,
go, or you don't even say anything. It's like that's what you're doing when someone takes the time to leave a positive
Yeah,
reply
that's
and you
so-
don't say
that's-
anything.
yeah.
It's like they complain about engagement. No one comments. Well, I looked and I saw 2 people comment and say, "Hey, thank you for this post," and you didn't say shit in return. So why would anyone else
Yeah.
comment if they see that you're not replying? Why would someone do that over and over and over again
That's
if you're
so
not
true.
replying?
Yeah.
It's like you took a lot of time and effort to make this content, and they're taking time and effort to tell you how great the content was. You better fucking reply.
Wow. That's something I definitely don't do at all.
I don't either.
Or
Or
a ca-
yeah,
if it's
that's
not-
so
something
true. I
funny.
should definitely like a video. I'll put time into making.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I like this, and I see other people like it. Like, why don't I reply to their comments? Like,
Yeah.
that's so true.
And
yeah.
now I don't nearly as much as I used to, but I still try. And I'll regularly send people voice memos on Instagram. I'll just like people freak out. They don't expect it.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
they
Even
go
if
crazy.
like someone likes your comment, even just a like, if you get in your notifications, like someone that you look up to liked it, you're like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
It's like same thing. Like be that person for people.
Cool.
Interesting, man. Well, you guys think it's good?
I think we're good. Yeah, we're
Yeah, running a bit late.
Yeah. No, we're good.
But actually, yeah, it's perfect timing. But guys, thanks for watching the Simple Man podcast.
Yes.
This is
Thank you very much, Jordan Syatt.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Jordan,
appreciate
really
it.
Great.
appreciate it, man. Super like spontaneous, impromptu podcast. He was down to come over, and man, it's great seeing you.
Yeah,
I haven't seen you in
likewise.
years.
Likewise.
But this is Damien,
Ethan Crelinsten.
JayRod.
And
Jordan.
and you've been simplified.
yes. Have a good day.
Later.
All right.
Sick.
That was awesome.
Dude, awesome, man. Hopefully,
I hope that was what you guys were looking for.
Oh,
Everyone
dude,
good?
fucking